Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone from Melbourne, Australia, here with the Hump Day Wednesday edition of the daily Gen AI News Briefing, where we rate and debate the importance of the latest enterprise AI news, giving it a final rating of essential, important, or optional. I'm Adam Rappaport, research analyst and tech wizard, and today I have with me many of our usual suspects, Luda Kopakina, John Sviokla, Paul Beyer, and Ankaj Handa. For anyone that's listening along from home, if you'd like to follow and read the articles, you can go to our website, gaiinsights.com/articles, and we have all the links there. Ankaj, with that, why don't you start us off with the first piece of news for the day?
Good, thanks, Adam. So the first one that we have for today comes from Cohere, and it talks about the deep dive into AI vision.
Yeah, John, what did you think about this piece of news?
Yeah, I thought this was, for me, this is an optional, read. It's an improvement in terms of, the ability for them to use open weight, multilingual, multimodal models, and certainly better, in different languages as you go, and they have kind of an interesting thing about how they compare it. Is it a better or worse thing? Does it win or lose, or is it a tie between the two things? And you can see their model wins against a number of the smaller models, as we can see here, or even kind of the medium-sized models. But this, to me, was just in the category of model and algorithm improvement. In the lower end and middle part, multimodal, multi-language is incredibly important. But for me, it was optional reading.
Yeah, I was heading that way myself. Luda, any?
Agree with optional, though. Amazing multilingual performance, right? And they're really focusing on that, which is wonderful, right? So, but it's an optional feature.
All right, let's get an optional there. You're good with that, Paul, I'm guessing? Fantastic. Let's move along. Thanks, Ankaj.
Hey, the next one comes from Etla, and it talks about their new model called Selene, which can be used for judging outputs of other models.
Yeah, fantastic. We have. It's interesting. I hadn't even considered fine-tuning a model to be an evaluator. It's a very interesting concept to really hone in and specialize on that. And with that, let's press pause for a second and welcome our guest analyst this morning with us, Ashish Bhatia. Ashish is the principal product manager for AI Builder in the Power Platform at Microsoft. Welcome back, Ashish. Good to see you. Good morning.
Thank you.
Ashish, I understand that you're having problems with Google software, not Microsoft software. Just want to make that point.
That's true. Running on Microsoft machine.
Hey, mate, you're just in time. We had you on deck to lead off on this article. Would you like to tell us what you thought about the news?
Yeah, absolutely. This article was very fascinating. When I saw this article yesterday, I sent it immediately to my team because, again, we're working a lot on evaluations and things like that. And any new development in this area is super interesting. So this is all about a new model, Selene 1, and it is fine-tuned for evaluations. If you go further down in they have a few examples of how it can reason over its evaluation, right? So as a critique, it gives you a detail, obviously it gives you a score, but also in detail explains why it thinks that score is the right score for the eval that it is trying to do. So super interesting. I always mention, right, before you own your intelligence, you should own your eval, because models are fungible. But unless and until you know what is right fit for your scenario, and you can empirically evaluate it, it is not going to pan out, right? Because the market will be cluttered with so many kind of models that you can inference on, right? So this is interesting. They have numbers as well. I would love to see a little bit more kind of data on customer usage, where it actually created differential value for customers on what they were using versus this model. So that I found kind of missing. Otherwise, very interesting. I would say anybody who's doing evals, which also means if you are embracing somebody else's AI, you should definitely look into it, and this is interesting news in that sense.
Would you say for our general audience, it's
Important.
important or essential? Yeah, important news.
Important
All right,
news, yeah.
Luda, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually wasn't aware of this company, Atla, and I went to take a look because, yeah, those details were missing. So Atla started in 22 with a very focused mission of building evaluation tools on Gen AI. And so now they've succeeded, but they've succeeded earlier. They've now raised Series C, and altogether $200+ million and sevenfold increase in revenue, and a lot of enterprise folks using their evaluators, lots and lots. So this is a company that is doing well, and I hope there's more evaluators. I like that. I actually put it as essential, Adam, because we haven't really talked about evaluators, and this is a great case. This is very much needed. If an AI leader not aware of this class of tools, they should be.
Yeah, I was on the fence between optional and important when we started, and listening to Ashish and then you as well, Luda. I'm leaning towards essential as well. I think anyone that's building agentic systems should be thinking about their evaluator, and anyone who's not thinking about an evaluator needs to start building agentic systems and thinking about them. Right? That's basically the message here. John, Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I was where you were, Adam, but I'm thinking essential. Any semantic operating system, anytime you throw any kind of query or request into a probabilistic model, you're going to have an evaluator at the other end. And I think having this, and this may not be the only evaluator people use, and on a bunch of the mature implementations we've seen, you have multiple ones. Sometimes they vote, sometimes they do lookup, sometimes they do some kind of pattern match, but I think having, models focused on truth and, evaluation makes a lot of sense. So I'd say essential.
I think there's a little bit of a paradigm shift that also needs to happen in people's thinkings, because there was a point where we wanted to reduce the cost of using these large language models, so we would try and minimize the number of times we do inference. And as this cost of inference is going to zero, there's almost no downside to making another inference call and having an evaluator look at the output that you're getting. So as we get into multiple LLM calls per action, it's essential that this is a part of that equation. You good with that, Paul?
Yeah, and I think just to riff on it a little more here, I think I also want to break the human in the loop. I think the human in the loop is we must have a human to make sure we get high quality. And here, this means that 95% of all cognitive tasks, AI is going to do better here. So we need a human and an AI in the loop to do the quality check here. And I love their tagline, LLM as a judge. So I think this whole paradigm, the move away from LLM as just a single tool to when I'm solving a problem, I have a whole collection of software robots and humans, some of which are doing the human task of evaluating and get that high veracity output here is really important trend. And it's a fundamentally different paradigm that the AI leader needs to have than they had just 12 months ago. So pounding on the essential.
And to add to it, Paul, people on this call who have built little systems, right, or big systems like Ashish have tried to build evaluators on like regular LLMs like ChatGPT, and as this shows, they're not trained for this. So this is trained for this and focused on this. So I'm dying to actually try it out because I think this will be way better. And the results that they show demonstrate that this is the case because the LLM was trained on that task. So I think we absolutely.
Did anyone catch if this is available through an API to use right now?
Yes, it says API.
Yes, Adam. Yeah.
Well, having an API and that it's available now versus a product announcement of what they'll do are different things. So, yeah. That's good.
This is in use across.
Oh, that's right. I thought Atla had things in use, but this was a new platform from them that they were announcing.
No.
So, yeah, and even the fact that I've never heard of Atla, I mean, it would be probably at least important just to make people aware that this is such a big part of the ecosystem. Yeah.
And Adam, Oncaj is leading our effort to update our buyer's guide for this quarter here, and these guys aren't even on our radar screen here. So, we're supposed to be an analyst knowing this space, and these guys are a credible company, not on the radar screen.
Flying under the radar, yeah.
But it's a class. It's a different class of evaluators. So it's class of models trained on evaluating. Remember, in software development, we had testers, right? Who knew how to write good tests, and this is the class.
Yeah, these are AI testers, right? And I think one of the other thing is, as the kind of mindset shifts from experimentation to deployment, you gotta need this, right? I mean, not this model, but this kind of framework, which can do independent evaluation of things.
Absolutely. See, Paul, we beat the hell out of the essential ones sometimes too, not just the optional ones.
I know, it's so exciting. Now,
the refreshing. I know, to talk so much about something that's essential. All right, essential it is. Thank you, Onkaj. Let's move along.
Just one last thing on that. I do think it's important that we find out the provenance of the company itself, because we know that, for example, ChatHub.gg is a Chinese-backed company that is gathering prompt data. So especially with your model evaluation, very interesting to have talk about fox in the henhouse. My goodness.
All righty, Onkaj, next article. Thanks.
Okay, the next one comes from Bessemer Venture Partners, and they talk about consumer AI's tipping point.
We're on the wave of a consumer earthquake, Luda. What do you have to say about this?
Yes, so I rated this article as optional, even though the leaders in the consumer space might find it interesting, but it's not earth-shattering. So essentially what the article argues that with the model costs going down, right, and the multimodal language models come to fruition and getting latency down significantly, and agents. So these three get the consumer apps going, and they cite 5 categories: the professional services for consumers, next generation marketplaces, gaming and social experiences kind of merging together and getting traction, and then shopping and product discovery, and at the end, creativity and productivity tools designed for consumers. So correct, all of those we've talked about in one way or the other. They point to specific startup examples. And so for that reason, this might be useful as well, but I thought it was optional.
All right, Ashish, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Luda on this. When I started reading it, some of these decreasing model trends and a few other kind of points that they make, I had high hopes for it. When I started reaching the 5 consumer category, I mean, as none of this is earth-shattering and stuff that we don't know, right? So again, I quickly lost interest in the article thereon. So I would consider it an option.
John, Paul, optional?
I liked important. I think it lays out, the trends of the models. I like the 5 categories. It's very succinct. I think it's a way for people to get their mind around the thing. So I was going to give it important.
I was actually unimportant for 2 reasons. One, I think this chart is great. So I think this is a very good visual chart that it's back pocket to funnel our Tim Andrews colleague. A second is, I think for businesses who are competing at B2C, there's going to be, I think, transformation. The B2C revolution is way ahead of the AI B2B one here. So if you're Expedia or you're competing with, you're going to have a lot more competitors, venture-backed competitors going after agent-based, air travel, for instance, and you need to be aware of that. And so in that sense, I had it as important. I agree, John. I agree with your comment on the LinkedIn. I do thought the 5 categories was a simple but useful characterization of the, and we don't have to see enough discussion on B2B versus B2C AI right now, and I think we need to move to that.
Yeah, I can support important. These guys know what they're doing. They funded Perplexity and really are champions of the company. That I agree. So I think they absolutely in each segment that they cite, they have a number of investments and they deeply go into this to understand what the drivers are. So they're not talking just talking, they're talking from understanding and experience. So yeah. Okay.
Important it is. Back pocket it is. Thanks. Let's move on to the
Okay.
next one from Google here.
Yes, Adam. So the next one comes from Google, and it talks about a data science agent in.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Google Colab. For people who don't know, it's basically free use of cloud compute to spin up environments where you can run Python and code. It's really easy, great way to sort of dive right in and just start building something, right? And this is now a data science agent that they have available in Google Colab. John, what do you think of this news?
Sorry, I get a lot of background noise here. That's what I was going to. It's funny because this particular tool does something that was the holy grail for when I was teaching, decision science at Harvard Business School. Choice of model and what you do with the data and what's the right way to look at it were always challenging things. And this is really great. I mean, it basically looks and says, hey. Look at these data. This is what I'm trying to do. What analyses should I do? How should I do it? As the data, so I think it's super helpful. I was on the border between optional and important. I'm gonna go for important on this. For everybody knows that we're moneyballing everything, right? The statistical models of all kinds of things. I think what's going to be interesting is that things like this, I think, are going to be important because I think we're going to develop new kinds of semantic analysis. There'll be a combination of traditional statistical analysis and then some of the new things like the Alta, evaluations we just saw before. So I think it's going to be a flourishing of data science with a capital D and a capital S, including things that were semantically rich or syntactically funky before will now be part of data science. So I'd give it an important.
All right, an important rating to start things off. Luda, what do you think?
I was between optional and important, actually ended up on the optional because it's really a promotional how-to thing for Google. But given the size of the platform and people will experiment with this, I think I can back important, John.
All right, we've got an important optional leaning. Ashish, where did you fall on this one?
So for me, again, the tool is amazing, right? I've used similarly, Adam, just like you, and the AI kind of companion experience is phenomenal, right? If you're writing code, you get stuck somewhere, you don't understand the pre-written code, you can ask questions, or you can say, hey, I want to do this, and it helps you kind of generate that code snippet, and you can observe it, you can bring it into the main kind of execution. So as a co-developer, co-collaborator, phenomenal tool. My only caveat was, what does it mean for the AI leader, right? Is it a thing for them? Is it news for them? Other than that, again, adding a data science agent to that tool is super interesting. So
Yeah,
from that perspective, maybe optional, but otherwise super important. I mean, I love it too.
I was in a similar place where I was leaning towards optional for the AI leader, but when I think about how many people this can empower, so right there where it says get started with data science agent, it mentions 2 data sets you can explore, Kaggle and Data Commons. Those are places where you can just go get like the listing of who was on board the Titanic, right? Just public data sets. And Ankash, if you scroll up just a little, just to the section just above the video, I want people to understand how easy it is for them to actually experiment and try with this. So you just open a Collab notebook, you upload your data, and you describe what you're trying to do, like visualize some trends, show me things about this data. I mean, I would encourage everyone once to just try this and understand what's possible for anyone now. And so that's put me back up onto important. It's such a great enabler. And I think, when ChatGPT first put their code interpreter, which was a horrible misnomer, because that was basically a data scientist that they had built into the tool, which was almost 2 years ago now, I was blown away at what started to become possible. And this is really taking it to the next level. And it's using the same Gemini that Ashish is describing. You can already use in one of these notebooks to write code for you. So I think it's worth people being aware that these capabilities are there and so accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree that there's always the downside, which there are procedural things that some people do, like in statistical regression, where they start throwing out data that are outliers and stuff. And as somebody who was brought up as a Bayesian, it's a really stupid idea to do. But there is a danger that we're going to make the ignorant confident with this thing. But I'm willing to live with that for the empowerment of everyone else.
Yeah, it kind of democratizes, John, as well, right? I mean, I think the question that Vivek is asking, does it make data science accessible to non-data scientists? Sure, it does. But the question you're asking, do they understand all the nuances? I don't know. But unless people experiment, how would they know, right? So it is a great enabler and kind of getting started piece in that sense.
Yeah.
I've loved the tool whenever I've used it, to be honest.
As they say, there's 3 types of lies, right? There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. And now anyone can get statistics. All right, important it is, though. Thanks. Let's go to, I think, the 5th article of the day. Almost there.
So the next one comes from MC and tailor. So they are expanding their partnership with a new GenAI venture following the success of their pilot.
Yeah, Shish, a bit of a partnership / product announcement. What did you think of this news?
It's super short article, super light on details. They mention some of the outcomes of the experimentation they've done. It is kind of, hey, we've done this experimentation together. We're taking this official kind of an announcement. It is related to mobile. Again, mobile is going to be platform where the AI will get democratized the most. So it's interesting from that perspective, but otherwise optional use, I thought.
Leaning optional. John?
Yeah, I go optional. I do think this is an important thing about, telecommunications carriers, as we saw the other day with Deutsche Telekom reclaiming being first in the demand chain. So I think that's interesting. I mean, TELUS is a big company, right? It's something like 20 billion Canadian. I think what's Canadian dollar now? Like 80 cents, I think, something like that. Anyway, I don't know. I haven't seen after the all the activities in our trade, but optional.
Luda, you good with optional?
Agree. It's really just a product announcement, but good area, but just product announcement, optional.
All right, optional it is. On to the last news for the day.
The last one comes from Microsoft, and now DeepSeek R1, 7 billion and 14 billion models, distilled models are available for Copilot Plus PCs via Azure AI Foundry.
Luda, what a timeline we live in. We have Microsoft offering open source Chinese AI on their hardware. What do you think of this news?
Yeah, I actually think it's important. So what they've done, it's Copilot Plus PCs, right? So they built it on the 3 type of PCs powered by Qualcomm, Intel, and AMD chips. And they trained those with memory and sort of the trade-off between the power, the memory, and performance with the good performance of R1. So they fully enabling it or experimenting on the edge, right? And when the edge doesn't have enough computing power, it gets it from the cloud. So that reminded me of the symbolics machines that were specifically trained for Lisp. This was the programming language of AI in those days. But this is when you are capturing the power of the chips, or the power of the hardware, the stack, and expanding into the cloud. So this is really cool. And the fact that it's Microsoft and it's available, it actually makes it quite significant. So I rated it as important.
All right, starting off with an important. Ashish, what do you think?
Similar thoughts, right? Copilot plus PCs are kind of enabled with obviously CPU, GPU, and NPU, which is neural processing kind of unit, and is built for language model kind of execution and bringing these models. And there's another smaller version of the model, which is 1.5 billion, right? Very kind of tiny model in that sense, and making it available on the hardware for hardware kind of inferencing is super interesting. Again, the goal is it's available to developers to build in-device kind of experiences, and kind of unleashes new possibilities in that sense. It's important, I would say.
John, important news?
Yeah, I think it's important. You know, what's going on here, this whole notion of edge. As you know, I'm a huge believer in this 2025 is the beginning of the whole edge revolution, and cascading from the end in. You know, David Reed many years ago wrote a thesis for MIT, and it was an MIT PhD, and he argued that a smart network with dumb ends, such as a phone network or the old style mainframe networks with teletypes, would lose to a dumb network with smart ends, like the internet. And he was proven right over the years. And I think we're gonna have a similar thing here. The intelligence is going to tend toward the edges, and I think it's going to. I believe the architecture is much more hybridized and decentralized, and this is an important part of that.
Well said. Yeah, I think it's important news as well. Let's leave it at that. Any announcements, John? Ankaj, you want to start getting together the final tally?
Good, Adam.
Yep. The only announcement is, next month we've got this event coming at MIT with John Warner, April 15th. That's obviously his event, but we'll be there. And a lot of exciting news. Paul's going to HumanX. I'm going to be going to CERAWeek to see how AI and energy are coming together. And so next week should be big and interesting. We are just as we're very excited about some of the developments we've had inside the firm in terms of starting to try to build out robots to help us with this. We really do try to walk the talk and live the dream, as they say.
Excellent. Ankaj, do you have the final tally for us? All right. We have one essential piece of news. Everyone, if you don't have an evaluator, what are you even doing? Other than that, we've got 3 importants, 2 optionals, and another great night or morning for all of you of the Gen AI news. Thank you, Ashish, as always, for your great insights and for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. And
Pleasure to be here.
And thank you from the whole team to those that are tuning in and participating in the discussion. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you.